government shutdown, and hopefully it might be ending before it even begins. So,
Mhm.
stay tuned on that. But absolutely, Pastor Wendy. But another thing that's happening in the community right now,
Mhm.
not only just the federal government shutdown, you also have to look at one big factor that's really making things an uproar:
Okay.
artificial intelligence. Let's talk about it. AI.
Ooh, I didn't know we was gonna talk about this today.
Well, we
Oh,
talk about everything.
okay.
AI. AI is a sector that's affecting our workforce. It's affecting a lot of things as far as, people getting laid off from jobs because AI is taking
Yeah.
over. Actually, you and I talked about this, a couple of weeks ago, and we're like, man, I'm praying for our kids because
Yeah.
everything is on their fingertips with AI, and they're just getting answers just left and right, right?
Hmm.
So when you really look about, what's happening today, AI has been a big part of the reason why our economy is shifting in the direction of using technology rather than using people,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Yes. Does AI help simplify things? Does it, decrease or increase safety? Absolutely. But it's also affecting, people dependent on going to factories, for example, or if you look at plants, manufacturing plants, these individuals are being replaced by artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
What is your take on that?
So my take on it is, I'm gonna be honest, it's scary,
Very.
but I'm scared for a different reason, though. I'm scared for a different reason. I'm scared because not that it's inevitable that it's going to take jobs away. Technology has been taking jobs away since the back in the day. What was it, 1980s, maybe 90s or whatever, when there was, Detroit was like the busing city for car manufacturing, but then automation came in and it took that away. Mining, a little bit of that took some people. So it's not uncommon where technology is taking jobs away. What's concerning for me is that it's taking our brain power away. So I don't know if our when we get older, are my grandkids going to know the difference between you are and your, if they abbreviate it?
Well,
Are they going to know that E equals MC squared? Are they going to know that pi is 3.14? That's what I'm nervous about. So, and then if you're leaning so much on technology, then your brain is a muscle, you're going to lose it. How do y'all feel about that? That's my concern. Um, Less around the jobs, more around the knowledge that we're going to be losing. Yeah.
but
Um,
you know
mhm,
what? Change is scary. We know
mm,
that, you
yeah.
know, but it doesn't have to be scary. It's how about how we manage it inside of our homes, right? Yes,
Mhm.
technology is definitely the way forward. It's here, there's no way around it, it's going to be here. But how do we manage it individually at home? How do
But here's
we
the thing about home. I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. And then you can go back to home. It's just like, I'm just saying, with technology, Samsung is where it's at. So I was originally on the iPhone. Y'all couldn't hear me, right? Now I'm on an Android. For my
Oh
Android
Lord,
users, go ahead
I
on and put an
I
A in
cannot
the
stand you.
comments.
I cannot
Put an
stand
A in the comments for my Android users. See, now y'all can hear me. See, I'm
you.
in
I
Atlanta, so I'm
cannot
really acting up
believe
today.
you're
I'm just
doing
saying. I'm just saying. I go
I
back to your comment.
I cannot stand you. Okay. But you know what? Before I go back to my comment as far as how we implement things in our household,
Mhm.
it is recently that Apple removed a tracking device or a tracking app that tracks ICE. As you know, with the Trump administration, with immigration reform and all this,
Mhm.
Apple decided to remove a tracking app from its platform
Mm.
because the administration says that it's a threat to the police officers. So it's interesting that
Mhm.
you went between Samsung and iOS software, but
Mhm.
that's okay. So going back to what we're saying about AI, and Pastor Wendy dropped off, but going back to what we're saying about the AI and also being afraid of it. It's not something that we can change. It's something that we can embrace, but it's something that we definitely have to monitor, in our homes, because it is so easy for our kids to pick up, a tablet, pick up a phone, pick up
Yeah.
any technology, and it's just out there in the world. So as
Hmm.
parents, we definitely have to, find a way to educate them on how to use it properly. Yes, when we just give it to them and let them go, that's the scary part. But when we coach them on how to utilize it properly, then it creates a culture where they understand what they're getting themselves into. So
Hmm.
that's really, I understand it's scary, but us parents have to do a better job as far as monitoring and also educating our kids on how to properly use this new technology that's evolving.
But I also want to go back to the technology part and the brain power. It is altering our brain from an attention standpoint. So I don't know about you guys, but I can work at my job and I just have the urge to pick up my phone and just scroll. Work for 5 minutes, scroll. Work for 5 minutes, scroll. Work for 5 minutes, scroll. And I wasn't doing this before social media. I wasn't doing this before Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. And when we're scrolling, every time you get to a new, not ad, but a new post, there's a specific endorphin that is released, which excites you. There's always something that's happening in your brain to look at. And so now our attention has decreased. And I learned that from my best friend. Um, and who's a and she said that she's seeing that even in the classroom. So not only is technology taking some of our brain power away, it's taking our focus away as well. And that's another thing that we need to talk about. And these are the type of conversations that we don't really talk about in the church. So for our new people that's on, we talk about these things from a Christian perspective, things that are typically not in the church, and you're more than welcome to ask questions and present your ideas. But we need to we got to understand exactly what is happening to us due to technology. And now you're not even able to pick up a Bible and focus on the scripture. Normally, what I would do now is I'll pick it up, read it. I'll go to a YouTube video to try to understand it a little bit better or do some research on Google. Rarely do I pick up a book to read it, to do the research. So it's different. It's different.
Well, I see it a little bit. For me
Okay.
personally, I embrace technology. It's all about how it's being utilized, right?
Okay.
So, like you said, picking up your phone and scrolling,
Hmm.
yes, you can scroll, but what are the contexts that you're looking at? Because depending on the context that you're looking at, will trigger the algorithm to continue to entice you. So it's either enticing you in a positive way or is enticing you in a negative way, based on the
Hmm.
algorithm, right? So again, I think it's a great thing that we can definitely utilize, but it's all about how we use it. It's just like anything.
Hmm.
Everything can be presented to you, but when you pick it up, because of the free will that we have, how do you utilize it? I
Right.
think someone said earlier, when calculator was, presented to us, you know, it didn't make us dumber. It's just a tool, right?
That's true. That's true.
Technology
But the
is just a
calculator
tool.
didn't, you couldn't put the whole thing in the calculator and it'll give you the answer. We at least had like the, well, what am I saying? Never
I know
mind.
what you're saying. You're saying that, hey, but if you remember your
What am I
math teacher
saying?
back in the day, you can't submit your homework and just give an answer. You have to
Yeah,
show the work, right?
you had to show the work. Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to show the work, So that's some of the, little things that we just have to instill in our next generation. Like, hey, you
Mhm.
still have to show the work, okay? You have to show up and do what's necessary, improve yourself, apart from just, I would say cheating, but is it really cheating since it's everywhere? But
Mm.
I want to hear from my viewers, what are some of the things that's happening in your area? Please put it in a comment. We are in a different time zone. You are in a different, area, go ahead and share what's happening in your area. That is what this platform is about. We want to know what's happening now.
That's right. They have a few things talking about, they're really interested in AI. These comments are coming in about AI, so we may need to stay on this topic just for a little bit longer. I see some things talking about using the tool reduces something because we are not using the cognitive areas anymore.
Oh,
Because when you don't use it, you lose it.
you lose it.
Critical
Yes.
thinking is being lost, right? The why behind your doing something is being lost because you can get it so quickly. And so that's something that, like I said, it concerns me a little bit. And from a spiritual aspect, if you don't know the why behind something, then you're doing something blindly.
That is a fair statement.
You don't know the purpose of it. And we're all supposed to be walking in our purpose, but that stands true to even education. What is the purpose of this? And now we have a generation who always question, why am I even learning this if I'm not going to use it? You see what I'm saying? So,
and Dr. Taylor just said you can't remember phone numbers because of Apple. You are 100% right. I remember back in the days when you can remember 20, 25, 30 people's phone numbers by heart. Okay, because you have to go put a quarter in a payphone and dial that number. You're right. I barely remember my son's phone number. Sure, I think the only phone number I remember is my in-laws, my mom, and my wife's. That's it. You're absolutely right. Technology has made us so comfortable that things that we strive to remember or things that we strive to incorporate into our daily lives, technology has just made it easy. Not that it's a bad thing. We just, we involved into surrounding ourselves around the technology rather than using the technology as a tool. We just made it a necessity. So you was going to say something.
So let me ask you this. And everybody, what is the most valuable piece or thing that you own? And it's not money. And people normally say it's time. Right? But now I tend to disagree.
Why is that? Why would you say time is not a valuable thing?
I think it's valuable, but I don't think it's the most valuable.
So what is the most valuable?
What is most valuable now is your focus. I can have time all I want. I can have time. It's what I'm focusing on during that time is the most valuable. So if I am only using my time and it's on things that's not edifying me, it's not feeding me, it's not restoring me, if I'm always worrying about something, if I'm always, I switch phones, if I'm always, if my focus isn't on my purpose, isn't on educating me or something about self-care, then I'm wasting valuable focus time, which should be elevating me.
Which still comes back to time.
It comes back to time. So we all know that we got 24 hours in a day, but what are you focusing on? And so when I look at now it's a revelation for me. When I'm looking at my kids and their head is down the entire time, what am I teaching my kids if they're always on their phone? How do we manage that as parents? Actually, how do we? I mean, I know I normally say it's no electronics hour.
Right.
But that's only 1 hour. So I'm curious of what everyone else, what they do when it comes to that, because focus is important.
Focus is important, but let's also, I need you to be specific on that focus, right?
Okay. Okay, I'm listening.
You can focus on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So you can focus on a lot of things that are negative, that are not bringing any value into your life, or you can focus on something positive that continues to elevate you in what you do. So when you say focus, focus is very broad, because you can have all the time in the world and focus on the wrong thing that's leading you to destruction. But
that's the thing. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yep.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So what I think you're saying is, we need to bring our focus back to God, because if God is the source and God is our guidance, we need to devote that time back to God and not in
Mhm.
AI. That's what I think you're trying to say.
I agree. There's a lot of time that we're spending on, I want to say AI, technology. I'll say technology, on
Technology.
technology, which we could be really enhancing ourselves. And I think the beautiful young lady, Lita, I have to look down because my phone is a little small. Lita, she said it purposely. If we're focusing majority of our time on one specific in one specific area, which God could bless us in that area, but He also blesses us to be other things. He blesses us to be a mother. Blessed me to be a mother, a wife, a best friend, a sister, a daughter. But if all my time is focused on being a director of examinations, then I'm neglecting all the other purposes God has ordained for